Hey everybody, Kris here from Behind the Slate, and today we're in downtown Tokyo, Shibuya, in front of the Hachiko statue, and we have two very excellent cameras to show you today. First we have the 5D Mark III, courtesy of ACTV, and then we have Blackmagic Design's Micro Four Thirds mount cinema camera. Now both these cameras shoot RAW, and that's what we're going to be checking out today, the RAW capabilities. Now in front of me here is the EOS 5D Mark III from Canon, and this camera is absolutely beautiful. The video it produces is breathtaking. However, the video that it produces is wrapped in this compressed 8-bit 420 color space codec, which isn't the best to use in a post-production environment. However, here's where things change with Magic Lantern. If you're not familiar with Magic Lantern, these guys have been hacking the Canon cameras for quite some time now, and just a couple months ago they released their RAW hack for the 5D Mark III. Now this RAW hack is something that is extremely incredible to the DSLR community, and that it allows this camera to capture 14-bit RAW DNG files. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. And in post-production, it's going to give you a lot more leeway and a lot more space to be able to work with these files. Now here we have Blackmagic Design's Micro Four Thirds mount cinema camera. Now this camera took the video community by storm last year when it was announced at NAB, for the reason being that it could record 12-bit cinema DNG RAW files. Now this was an amazing aspect of this camera, and cameras costing thousands of dollars more would do it, but this camera's price tag is $3,000 when it was announced at NAB. One of the problems with this camera right from the get-go was the fact that the shipping unit announced at NAB came with an EF mount from Canon. And the problem with that is the sensor is a little bit smaller than a Micro Four Thirds sensor, and to put an EF mount lens on there made the crop factor a little too extreme for some people. They corrected it by shortly releasing a Micro Four Thirds mount. After a couple of months, people started complaining about it. However, people already pre-ordered the EF mount version, then they had to cancel that pre-order and get the Micro Four Thirds mount version. Then, in 2013 NAB, Blackmagic Design released the information about the Pocket Cinema camera and then the 4K production camera. I mean, they really shot themselves in the foot with this. Now people were canceling their orders for the Micro Four Thirds mount and the EF mount camera, and they started leaning more towards the passive or the active mount Micro Four Thirds pocket camera, and also the production 4K, which has a Super 35mm sensor in it, which can properly handle a lot of the EF lenses. Now another interesting twist and turn with the Blackmagic saga here is that shortly after they missed their ship date for the pocket camera and also the production 4K camera, they slashed the price of this camera by $1,000. So the price went from $3,000 US dollars to $2,000 US dollars. And for that, you get DaVinci Resolve 2, effectively making this camera a $1,000 camera that can shoot 12-bit RAW cinema DNG files. Both these cameras suffer from the same problem in that they have rolling shutter. And there's been plenty of examples done with rolling shutter on both these cameras, and even in-depth reviews of both cameras from Philip Bloom, the folks at EOS HD, and the folks at Cinema 5D. So this isn't really a review of the camera's ins and outs, the buttons you push, the lenses you use. This is more about testing the raw capabilities of both of these cameras and comparing how they compare with each other. great testing the raw capabilities of these two cameras, and with Magic Lantern's hack for the 5D Mark III, really opens up this camera to much more possibilities. And I absolutely know that in the future, Magic Lantern will bring even more capabilities to the 5D Mark III. Now, where to place these two cameras? In a controlled environment, such as a studio with proper lighting and a proper soundstage, the cinema camera really shines. I mean, it's a dream to work with in a studio environment. However, in the field and on the road, this is not an ideal camera. For work like that, documentary work and field work, you're going to need a much more well-rounded camera, such as the 5D Mark III. Now, what makes this such a great camera for field work is the fact that it has a removable battery, number one, and number two, the low-light performance is absolutely excellent. You just can't beat how well this thing can take low-light video. And that also brings us to low-light pictures and pictures in general. This camera will not take pictures, whereas this camera does. Very important in the documentary world and the fieldwork world. I hope you found the comparison between the raw capabilities of these two cameras as intriguing as I did. I'd like to thank ACTV for providing the 5D Mark III for us to use today, and also Canon Digital Japan for providing the cinema camera. I'd also like to thank Longzi Jun for providing the soundtrack. Check out the links below, and I'll see you next time behind the slate.